we have an amazing watercolor painter, Andy Evansen, who will be teaching a workshop February 15th to 18th. Andy's work is just fabulous. One of the things I love about Andy's work is how he does these great tonal studies to really break down the process. You know, something I do in my work, but the way Andy does it just with three, well, really two values in the white of the paper is just so minimal and beautiful, and that translates really nicely into the finished painting. So I'll let Andy explain what he's doing.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob. Yeah, just like what Bob said there, the gist of my workshops kind of boils down to, if you're trying to loosen up painting, it's important that you find big shapes. And I use those three value studies to, you know, particularly with watercolor, when you can take advantage of that fluidity of the medium by mixing big puddles and grabbing a big brush and painting big shapes. They really come in handy. I'll echo what Tom said about painting outdoors, how important that is. But I actually, I find it difficult to teach plein air because there's so much just reacting as the scene is changing going on. It's fun to be out there, you know, with a group, but trying to put out all these fires of all the students trying to paint a scene and get around to them is a bit difficult. So in my workshops, I kind of do a combination of studio and plein air work. I'm going to show a couple examples here of what Bob was talking about, these kind of lessons. These are the things that we'll do. And I've already chosen about 6 or 7 scenes from the Casa. So we'll all be painting from the same reference material online. But I try and find a nice big connected shape with a middle value. Like I said, that's all about simplifying and making sure your composition works better. And then we kind of go back and forth between the value study to the color version. You know, you'll watch me do the first step, and then you'll do the first step on the value study, and then you watch me do the first step in color, and then you'll do it. So it's a lot of hand holding. Real easy and fun, and it gives you a process that you can take home with you and practice. You know, everybody wants to paint looser, but painting loosely isn't just painting fast. Okay, you need to have a really good plan in your head of how you want to attack that scene, and that's what those value studies give you. You know, taking all that visual information from the subject, if you're, you know, outside the scene in front of you, or that reference photo, which can sometimes in many ways is even more difficult because the photograph captures everything and freezes it, so you just kind of find yourself picking away at all the small details because you know that scene's not going to change. So it's hard to, you know, take a reference photograph and do a nice loose fresh painting from that. And I think if you can use a value study to kind of keep you on course to painting bigger, simpler shapes, that your paintings will look more like paintings and less like renderings from a photograph. So that's really what I teach. I'm going to screen share here and show a couple of my paintings here. If that's all right. Are you seeing this okay?
Oh, yeah.
So this is, you know, you said speak to the Casa experience. I've always been able to, I think I've been down there 3 times now, Bob.
Yeah.
2 or 3. And, you know, obviously this isn't a Casa painting, but this is a big reason why I love to go. This was literally taken out by the window of my plane as I was flying down to the Casa to teach last year, just to remind myself what I was leaving behind. And, you know, I like winter. Quite a bit. People who follow me on Instagram and stuff, I like painting winter, but you know, I always tell people these Minnesota winters are 5 months long, and after a couple months you can go down and hang out on a beach and eat some good food. And you know, there's a day, Bob does such a great job running these workshops where you can you know, there's a siesta time in the middle of the day where we get a break. There's a day where there's no class at all. We just kind of take a boat and go to a little private beach and hang out. And those are the best workshops, I think, when you're, you know, it's hard to paint when you're just stressed all the time about getting all this done in 3 days, 4 days, and get back home and learn as much as you can. It's kind of nice to have those breaks, a relaxing atmosphere. We eat together, on the veranda. We eat breakfast together. We eat lunch together. We eat most dinners together. And so it's just outside of the class, you leave after a week and everybody knows each other so much better. I did a breakdown of this scene for a magazine article, actually, doing a value study and stuff, but you can see, in the background, those, one of the big things I try to get in my work is a nice combination of soft edges and hard edges. And using softness and cooler colors or whatever in the background, and then using crisper colors in the foreground. And you can kind of see that happening in this reference photograph, and making sure that your contrast and your activity is at a good spot, to draw the viewer's eye, draw their attention. This is another one of my favorite paintings that I've done from the Boca. This is literally right outside the casa. You walk down the steps and walk out to the beach, and this is where you're standing. It's just a really beautiful view. But here again, the importance of finding connections and edges and stuff. It goes from the water here right into the boat and down into the shadow on the sand, and it connects with the people on the beach and everything. So finding those connections and lost edges is a big part of what I teach. Here's another. This is up from the studio looking down at the activity in the fishing village. That's another one of my favorite ones. And there again, just trying to, a nice combination of lost edges, like what you see down here on the beach, and then the crisp found edges, where you're going to have the kind of the star of the show is what I like to call it. This is the one I posted today to kind of advertise this YouTube gathering. So I'll stop screen sharing here. Those are just some of the examples. And I'm confident. I've taught a lot of workshops. I think after a week or so, you get enough tools from the workshop to be able to go home and tackle your own work. So I hope you'll join us. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Andy. That was amazing, seeing all those images of the Boca, literally from the front steps of the casa.
Yeah, I know.
I love it.
Exactly.
That last one, looking upriver, is one of my favorite views in the morning. Light just coming over the mountains. It's just very, very special.
Yeah.
Thank you. Looking forward to your workshop. Andy's workshop is February 15th to the 18th. And he'll be back along with everybody here in 2022 in Mexico.